Hi, everybody. Greetings from the Netherlands. Hey, I'm sorry I can't be with you live tonight, but I wanted to share an experience like so many others that I have. Something really special that happened just a couple of days ago, and it's the reason that I love doing this work. And because of the joy it brings me, I think there's a lesson in it for everybody who has trouble coping with anxiety when they fly. On Sunday, I flew from LA to Amsterdam with a VIP client named Rose. And she hadn't flown in 5 years. She had a couple of really difficult flights, including the last one, where she actually got off the airplane. So this trip really mattered. She was flying to the Netherlands from where she grew up at to a family reunion. And also, her parents were celebrating their 55th wedding anniversary, and she really needed to get there. So we met at the airport. We've been doing some coaching beforehand, and she was doing pretty well all the way through boarding. But when that door closed, as some of you know, we started getting ready to push back, and anxiety hit her like a ton of bricks. And so we had just a couple of minutes, so I thought I'd engage the lead flight attendant into the process, hoping that he'd be able to give her a little bit of reassurance. But as luck would have it, we were just close to departure, and his sense of doing his job kind of took over. And he understandably focused on the pushback and reminded her that she only had a few minutes to decide whether she's going to stay on or get off. And of course, that's the last thing she needed was to have that pressure increase the way it did. So we went back to our seats and we kept working on it one moment at a time. And this is what I want you to remember. Uh, Panic doesn't last forever. It comes in waves. And so within the next 15 minutes, she began to get a little bit of relief. We continued to talk and she started we focused on her breathing first of all, and she put on my headphones and began listening to the harmonizer intermittently, and she began to get a little bit of control back to redirect her attention. And the harmonizer helped her compete with those anxious thoughts in her head, and all that combined allowed her to focus on other things, which is really what the crux of the matter is. So by the time that another wave came, she was able to deal with that wave instead of worrying about the next 6 or 8 hours, which is what she was worried about. She was projecting into the future really bad, including worrying about her flight home. Should she be able to make the flight over there? And you know how incredibly heavy that can become for you. And anyway, so we got airborne, got into the flight, and sure enough, the wave passed. She was able to relax, and the rest of the flight went just really, really well. Not too long into the flight, the lead flight attendant came back and very empathetically semi-apologized for being so direct with her. And he asked if she could come with him. And that was odd. And he had kind of a coy look on his face. And anyway, she was gone for a few minutes. And when she came back, she had that look like the cat who swallowed the canary. And she wouldn't tell me what went on, but because she said she was bound by secrecy as about where she had been and what she'd been doing. But she assured me that the captain and crew had everything under control. And we both just laughed because we both knew what she'd gotten to do. So, and the flight only got better from that point. She began working on this. I created a detailed workbook, which I do for a lot of students, especially VIP ones. And there's one activity there that calls for her to create a list of what helped. And I've been encouraging all of you to do that for debrief. And she listed things like moving her focus to something else, reminding herself that the anxiety goes up and down, it comes in waves. And most importantly, to listen to the harmonizer when she gets so wrapped around the axle there. Especially important is to meet and engage with the crew And again, most importantly, was to not get impatient and wait for that wave to pass. And she did it. She wrote these things down in addition to some of the other tasks that I had in there, which really helped to keep her stay engaged with the process and not let her mind wander into the future like it had. So we flew the rest of the way from LA to Amsterdam without any more serious panic attacks, which was just incredible. And like many people, she expressed her heartfelt gratitude to me. And I did what I normally do. I remind her of something that I jokingly tell all my clients all the time. Don't blame me for your success. You were the one who had the courage to do it. And that's what she did. And I reminded her of a I'm sorry, I was reminded of a practical lesson that I learned from this trip as well. We were all registered for TSA PreCheck, and we got up to the line, and darned if they didn't point out that our boarding passes didn't have that. So here's the lesson: make sure that you check your boarding pass, not just international, but especially important in international. Uh, and that is, make sure before you get to security, you check your boarding pass to see that you have that TSA PreCheck uh, uh, nomenclature on there. And it's got to be actually printed on there. Well, ours wasn't, despite me having received multiple assurances from the res agent during the booking process. He promised me and verified that our known traveler numbers had been added to our reservation record. And because they weren't, that eliminated our opportunity to avoid the hassle of going through the regular TSA security line, which in LA at the international gates there is significant. It added about 20 minutes to the process and created some unnecessary stress for me, let alone for Rose. So whenever you are on your own journey, remember Rose's experience. You don't have to conquer the entire flight at once. You just have to stay with the process long enough for those waves to pass. So I want to thank you for joining us tonight, and I'll see you again soon. And stay connected and don't quit the process. Now, back to you, Dieter.